Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we will be discussing quadratics. This is chapter 2 from the textbook. So let's get into it. So quadratics are basically let me just change the marker. They're basically in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and they're usually equal to 0. Okay, and we also have this is also generally known as a polynomial. So this is also called a polynomial. So this is called a polynomial of order 2 because the highest power here is 2. So that's how we differentiate what these are, because we use this because we also have something called a cubic. So we have, okay, so this is a cubic. What this basically does is it has 3 roots instead of 2. So let's go over everything here because this is called polynomial of order 3. So here's an example. X squared minus 3x minus 4 equals to 0. Okay, so a quadratic cannot just be solved by, this method. So this is how not to solve it. Minus 3 equals to, let's say you take the 4 to the other side, say equals to 4, well, x is equals to 4, and x is equals to minus 3. It does look like you could do it, and that would be a very simple way of doing it, but it's not really how you do it. Right, so this is not how you do it, because um, a polynomial of order 2 is generally in this shape. Let's see the shape. Let me try to draw it a bit accurately. Something like this. This will be minus 4 right there. Your this term is usually your y-intercept, even in your equation of a straight line. Y equals mx plus c. This is your y-intercept. So this y-intercept is usually where it's something like this. Okay, so your c is basically your y value, while your x is equals to 0. Okay, so this is how not to do it. Put a big cross over that. Do not do this because this is not how you do it. Okay, so quadratics, what we're basically trying to find while solving quadratics is these two solutions, these two x values, which is where the quadratic cuts the x-axis. This is the x, this is the y, right? So where the curve cuts the x-axis. Simple enough, but it's not as simple to solve. Okay, so there are about 3 or 4 methods that you can use. I'll show all of them to you. Okay, so we're going to use this x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0 as our example. I'm going to keep using this because I think it's very simple to solve. Okay, so the first one is factorization. What, by the way, before, actually, hold on, never mind. The first one is called factorization. So let me just write that down. So we're going to be factoring it. What that means is you're just going to look for, you're just going to look for two numbers, a and b. And so when you add them, you get minus 3. And when you multiply them, you get minus 4. Okay, so then you just have to kind of like, guess maybe. So now you could say that, well, a could equal to 4 and b could equal to minus 1. Now let's check this. 4 plus minus 1 is indeed equal to minus 3. 4 times minus 1 is also equals to minus 4. So the values a equals to 4 and b equals to minus 1 all satisfy these two conditions. So that means the answer to our problem here is x equals to 4 and x equals to minus 1. Okay, that's great. And I should tell you this as well, but so what I can also do is, so you can go from here back to the equation. So assuming, let's say, you are given this, and you are asked to find, the equation that leads up to this. All you have to do is say, well, x minus 4 is equals to 0, because you could just subtract 4 on both sides so that you have it's equals to 0, and you do the same on the other side with 0. Now the next step is you have to multiply these two. So x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 1. Okay, so this will give you, so the trick here is the distribution. You have to multiply the x's. So you multiply the x with the first term here with both of the terms here, and then you multiply the second term with both of the terms here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So what we're going to do here is x times x is x squared, x times 1 is x, minus 4 times x is minus 4x, and minus 4 times 1 is minus 4. Great. So here, all we have to do next is simplify, which is x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals to 0. Okay, so this we have gotten our original equation back here. So yeah, as you can see, they're both the same. Now I would like you to notice our answers here are not the same as our answers here. You may say, well, 4 is the same. Well, maybe that's right. No, that is just a coincidence. It's not going to be the same. And this method is plain wrong. Never use this method, the equation method or the formula method. So this is the formula. Oops. Okay, so this is the formula. This is very important because sometimes you have no other choice but to use this, and in some questions that is the case. You have something like 2 plus root 3, in as your A, and your B could be 3 plus 2 root 2. Your C could be 5. So you can't really factor this out because you have to use this formula. This formula is very handy. It looks a bit daunting and a lot of work, but it is the best you can do. So the first thing you have to do is, let's write our equation down. Minus 4x, it's minus 3. Minus 3 minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, it must be equal to 0 for it to be a quadratic. Okay, that can be solved. Alright, so our equation says minus b, oh, by the way, let me just write this down. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, just in case you forget. So our a here is 1. Let me just use blue here. So this is our a, this is our b, and this is our c. Okay, so let me use blue again. All you have to do is take these values and plug them inside. That's it. That is all you have to do. So it says minus b, so minus b is minus 3. It says plus minus, you'll get to know what the plus minus is for, but not right now. You don't need it. So it says b squared minus 3 squared minus 4a is 1, c, which is minus 4. Okay, and then you just square root everything. And then you do this. 2 times a, 2 times 1. Alright, that's it. That looks awful, but let's clean this up. Okay? You don't really have to clean it up, but it could be a non-calculator question, so you would kind of have to. Let's clean this up. So this is 3 plus minus square root. This becomes 9 minus 4 times minus 4. That's minus 16. It becomes plus 16 over 2. Okay, so 4 plus 16 is 20. Oh, 9 plus 16, I mean. Is equals to 3 plus minus 25 all over 2. Great. So now x is equals to 3 plus minus 5 all over 2. Okay, so we're almost done. We're almost done. So 3 plus 5 is 8, right? So 8 over 2, just 4. 3 minus 5 is minus 2. So minus 2 over 2, which gives you minus 1. So x is either equal to 4 or x is equals to minus 1. Okay, but why are we using plus minus here? Well, it's quite simple, because if you have 5 squared, you'll get, let me just put brackets, you'll get 25. But what if you have minus 5 squared? You'd still get 25, right? So let's say, so if you were to square root 25, right? We don't know if we used plus 5 or minus 5, right? This is plus 5. So we write plus minus 5, saying that both of these can be solutions, which is why we put a plus minus there, because you have a plus minus here, plus minus there. Because whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. Okay? So that is why we have a plus minus, which is what also gives us two equations. Two answers, I mean, not equations. Okay? So here are our answers. And you can check this by putting x all the way here. The only problem you might have is maybe simplification or memorizing this formula. And I'm pretty sure they give you this formula on the formula sheet, so you may not even have to memorize it. Okay, so this is called completing the squares method. So what we do first is factor out whatever we have here. How do we do that? We just simply multiply everything by that number. Okay, so here, since we have 1, we do over 1 over 1 over 1 over 1. So this gives us x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals to 0. By the way, you can't just remove it, so just put 1 on the outside. The 1 is still multiplying, okay? But this is usually when you have anything that is not 1. So that's a, right? Whenever a is not equals to 1, you have to do this. But since it's not, if it is equals to 1, you can just ignore the step. Okay, the next step, so I'm going to continue with it. The next step is you write this, right? You write x. What the idea here is, before I continue, is we're trying to put this, like all of this, into an ax plus b form, and then squared. Okay, that's the idea. Plus, I guess c, that doesn't really matter, but that's what we're trying to get here. So let's go there. So 1 multiplies ax. The a is not there, by the way, it's meant to be x, sorry. Okay, so x plus b. How do we do that? So the b is just going to be this value over 2. So minus 3 over 2. Okay, and then you square that. That's it. And then the next thing you do is you write minus 4. And then you put another minus. Let me just put, this is important. You put this no matter what. Okay, you do over 2 no matter what. Okay, so let's continue. And then you put this value squared, minus 3 over 2 squared. Now if there was a plus there, I would have to, I would not put the minus, but this minus is very important. You put it no matter what, which is why I put it in red. And you do the over 2 as well, no matter what, which is why it's in red. Is simplify this, which is minus 4 minus 3 over 2 squared, gives you minus 25 over 4. X is minus 3 over 2 squared. And we're still multiplying by 1, don't forget that. The only reason I'm showing you 1, because if it were any other number, you would have to take this a step as well. Okay. Next, you multiply 1. So what you could do here is say, well, a can be, or I should use something else. Maybe m is equals to x minus 3 over 2 squared. So 1 m minus 25 over 4. So now you distribute the 1. Simple enough. 1 goes here, 1 goes there. and you get m minus 25 over 4 equals to 0. Now let's bring back our m because we still need it. Minus 20 minus x, 3 over 2, and squared minus 25 over 4 is equals to 0. From here on out, all you can do is you can just solve for x. Let's solve for x. Minus 3 over 2 squared is equals to 25 over 4. Okay, now let me square root both sides. So this gives us x minus 3 over 2 is equals to, I'll simplify that later. 25 square root, and then plus minus, don't forget that. And then you bring the 3 over 2 to the other side. So it becomes 3 over 2 plus minus 25 over 4 square root. Alright, so let's simplify this further. 3 over 2 plus minus 5 over 2. So this gives us the same as before, 4 and minus 1. So these are the values of x. Okay, at these values of x, you can turn these into coordinates as well. So it will be 0, 4, 0, minus 1. Oh no, that's a mistake. So you can turn these into coordinates. It will be 4, 0, and minus 1, 0. The graphical method. So let's graph. Okay, so in this case, you're not given anything, except, I guess, you're giving a graph. So here, this is a graph. This could be minus 4, right? And this can be 4. This can be minus 1. Keep in mind, my graph is really wonky. It's not really how it should be, but it does the job. So here, all I have to do is look for the point where the curve, f of x, let's call it, cuts the x-axis, which is at x equals to 4 and x equals to minus 1. It is as simple as that. But this is too easy, right? They're not going to give you a graph and they're going to ask you for that. Well, obviously they can, but usually they're not going to. If they do, it's probably going to be a very low mark question, or they could ask you to find f of x, which we've done before. You simply do x minus 4 times x plus 1, and you'd find f of x. All right. By the way, if you're given f of x, in the form 2x plus 1 or x plus 3. So if you find x, all you have to do is say 2x plus 1 is equals to 0, x plus 3 is equals to 0, x is then equals to minus 1 over 2, x is equals to minus 3. These are also the roots. Okay, so if you simplified this would give you a quadratic, x squared plus b, x plus c. Okay, alright, so that is how you solve quadratic equations. Let's come over here. Is going to be a bit of a cheat. So a bit of a cheat method. So what the method basically is that you can use your calculator, right? So let's write this equation down. X minus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. So if you can go to your calculator, okay, so let's go to shift, go to mode, and go to press 5, which is also known as EQN, then press 3, which shows you ax squared bx plus c equals to 0, and then you put in your values. Okay, it kind of looks something like, gives you like these boxes. Okay, so all you have to do is put in 1 here because the coefficient of a is 1. Okay, put in minus 3 here, minus 4 here, and then press enter. That's it, and it's going to give you the values. So go on, try it right now if you have a calculator right now, and it should give you x equals to 4 and x equals to minus 1. Okay, and if you're expected to be doing this without a calculator, so all you have to do is so you have to kind of work backwards. So let's say they said question said you have x squared minus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. Use a calculator to find these and then write this down. X equals to 4, or just write x minus 4 and x plus 1, okay, equals to 0 still. And then just multiply it out. So this will give you x squared plus x minus 4x minus 4, still equal to 0. Then you can show them that you factorized by saying x plus 1 minus minus 4 and then x plus 1. Remember, when you're factorizing, these two, right, must be the same, okay? So that's it. And then when you have this, you can just say, well, x is equals to 4, x is equals to minus 1, okay? This way you will almost never be wrong unless you copy your question wrong, and then you can just erase this off, and this is how to almost always get the question right, because you don't really need to use your you don't have to waste your time trying to figure out the numbers that you are going to do. It's fine like that, okay? Before we start solving questions, there's something else I've forgotten to mention, which is this form is also known as a x plus k, or x plus b, I guess, plus k form. This is a very popular form and it's very useful as well. Why is it useful? Because this tells you the vertex. Well, what is a vertex? Vertex is like the minimum point or the maximum point of a curve. So like this, for me to find out what this is, all I have to do is use my completing the squares method, and when I reach this stage, this is like the final stage, and then this starts a new, this is just algebra after this. So here, all you have to do is take this value, minus 3 over 2, and minus 24 over 5. So the first one, you just flip the sign, 3 over 2, and then the next one is minus 25 over 4, and that's it. That's your vertex. That's really important because you can use this to find if the maximum or minimum point is, if it's a maximum or a minimum point, or how low the graph goes, or the range of the graph. So this is extremely important. Okay, so just to get started, I'm going to use my calculator to, okay, so it doesn't have whole number roots, which is fine. So I'm just going to begin. I hope I don't make any mistake here. So all you have to do first of all is, remember, the first thing, you have to divide everything by 2. 2 over 2 minus 8 over 2 plus 3 over 2 equals to 0. Now, 4x plus 3 over 2 equals to 0. Okay. Next, we're going to keep the brackets. Remember to keep the brackets. X minus 4 over 2 brackets squared plus 3 over 2. Let me just put this in red just so you remember. And then minus 4 over 2 squared equals to 0. Had this been positive, had this one been positive, you would have to write the positive there. Oh, you don't have to write the positive, but you just don't write the minus. Okay, so 3 over 2 minus 4 over 2 squared. I should probably write this as minus as well, red, I mean. So this gives me a minus 5 over 2. Okay, so x minus, going to put that as 2 now. Okay, and don't forget the brackets, equals to 0. So I'm going to skip the step where we did m is equals to x minus 2 and we brackets it. I'm going to skip the step because it's a bit of a waste of time. So now I'm going to write this as 2x minus 2 squared minus 5, because the 2 multiplies minus 5 with 2 as well. And it's equals to 0 still. Okay, so we found our form that was, it can be in many ways, but ax plus p squared equal plus q. So this is our a, this is our x, this is our p squared plus q. So if you have to, a is equals to 2, p is equals to minus 2, q is equals to minus 5. Okay, so if you were to ask to find the vertex is simply going to be 2 minus 5. You flip the sign, remember, flip this sign over, whatever it is. If it's plus, turn it to minus. If it's minus, turn it to plus, and leave this the way it is. And that's your vertex. You can also make sure that you've done this correctly by putting 2 all the way here and here, and you should probably get 5 here, minus 5 I mean. So this vertex is also known as a turning point or a stationary point. Okay, so there's about 3 names: vertex, turning point, stationary point. They usually use turning point and stationary point in the vocabulary, but vertex could be used, so you should be familiar with it. If you have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, how to tell if, so you're aware that quadratics can be like this or like this, right? Let's use this. Okay, so this is called a minimum shape. This is called a maximum shape. So you need to be able to differentiate this, and you need to be able to know by just looking at the equation of the curve. So it's very simple. All you have to do is look at the first term, the ax squared term, always the x squared term. So all you have to do is look for plus or a minus. Since this one is plus, it's automatically a minimum. Just write minimum. Okay, but if it was a negative ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, this would be automatically a maximum. So here's an equation. So this does not look like your average quadratic because it's not in the right form. You have to rearrange it. So x squared plus 4x plus 1. Now it's in the right form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Always make sure to rearrange it to fit this form, okay? Because it's going to help you a lot. So here is minus 1, which is negative. So all you have to do is say, well, this one is maximum. So the stationary point, this point, or this one, because a quadratic curve only has one. So this would be either maximum, minimum. This one, minimum. This one, maximum. So if it's positive, min. If it's negative, max. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and I'll see you in the next one.